Hello there and welcome back to another video. As you've probably noticed by the sound of my voice, this is another live audio video, only the second one that I've done on this channel so far. Today I am fixing another broken computer. This is another broken Dell OptiPlex 7050, again with an i7 7700 and 32 gigs of RAM, so very similar to the other one that I just fixed. Hopefully this one will actually be broken because the other one wasn't broken and I want to have some more interesting content. According to the eBay seller, this one should not power on at all. We will see. It was the same seller as the other one though, so we're gonna find out. Based on what I learned about the DisplayPort behavior on this model, with the other system, I'm gonna use HDMI to connect it to the monitor, because we had some weird stuff go on with DisplayPort last time. If you haven't watched that video, go check it out and you'll see what I'm talking about. Shouldn't need a keyboard yet. We just need to know if it turns on or not. And it's powering up. One of those fans doesn't sound the happiest. Let's see, do we feel like focusing? There we go. It's back on. You can tell by that DVD drive light. And it's posting. I'm not making this up. I'm not even making this up. What's it doing? Checking media presence. No bootable devices found. That is a completely healthy system so far. Are you serious, man? I bought two systems that were described as broken. And are neither of them broken? Let's see. There's nothing weird about the insides of this one. White balance has gone a little off. Whoops. Hopefully it fixes itself there. Power supply fan is maybe a little noisy, nothing too crazy. There is obviously no drive in this system. There is 32 gigs of RAM. I've already opened this up just to make sure everything in here looked as it should, but that's as far as I got. This has been my first time plugging it in, and it's entirely functional. Seems weird to be complaining about getting such a good deal on an entirely functional system like this. I got this for $80. $80, 7700, 32 gigs of DDR4. Only thing it's missing is an SSD. But I'm trying to fix broken computers, not score awesome deals on functional ones. So, I mean, there's really nothing weird about this guy. It's got a DVD drive. Both of these had DVD drives, which is interesting because the Precision 3420s, which are from the same time period as these 6th and 7th gen Intel, did not have DVD drives in them. This is a slightly different DVD drive than the other one. Interesting. Shame that neither of them are Blu-ray, but not surprising. All right, in that instance, we're just gonna prod around in this system and I guess refurbish it live instead of fix it because it doesn't appear to need any fixing. I'm gonna go through the process that I'll go through when I want to do a full refurbish on one of these because it has changed since I made that video about how I refurbish a computer. And I go a lot deeper now and I don't always show it on camera. I'm curious as to what RAM we've got. You can see we've got two of one kind and one of a different kind. You can just tell already by the color of the top of the PCBs. So what is this odd, oh, excuse me. What is this odd one out? This guy isn't fully seated, which is weird. This is a piece of Samsung HP RAM. It is 1R/8, 2666 megahertz, 8 gigs. This one wasn't fully seated on that end, which is interesting. Let's see. Oh, it's another more Samsung HP RAM. That is weird. Another same specs, same exact specs. So maybe they aren't actually mixed kits whatsoever. Yeah, and both of these are the same as those other two. Usually when the PCBs are different colored, like on the edges here, it's a different kit of RAM most of the time. These must just be from fairly different batches. Well, there's some RAM, and that is interesting actually. Will that take, that's a 2242. It doesn't have the M.2 standoff. I'm only looking at this now because on the other system, I kind of just assumed it would be the same as the Precision 3420, but it's not. This M.2 slot on the Precision 3420, there is only the 2280 option, and there's the standoff. I've just seen it. But on this one, there's a slot for a 2242. I think that I have a 2242 drive. Looks like we're gonna be really finally using this 500 gig SSD I pulled out of my laptop when I upgraded that SSD, and I tried to put this in that Precision 3420 I recently fixed. Recently, it was September, but it didn't have the standoff on that board. This one does, which is really nice. Okay, actually I haven't dealt with these Dell standoffs before. Do you just pull them up? So you just pull out, or is there a little more to it than that? There it seems to be. I'm not sure about how this guy clips into that hole in the board. That is what I'm trying to figure out right now. I mean, it's pretty obvious how it clips in, but do you need to take the board out and press some tabs on the back of that to pop it out and move it down here? I'm afraid that we might have to do that, which is a little annoying, but I'm gonna be taking the board out anyways, so I mean, might as well get to work on that. So I'm gonna start by removing the cooler. I believe that this is a load-bearing cooler. In a lot of these Dells, especially the small form factor ones, the cooler mounts, these screws go straight into the case instead of a back plate on the motherboard. So these also act as motherboard screws, which means you have to remove the cooler to remove the motherboard. Also means you can't use the cooler on anything else outside of this case unless you find a back plate. And overall, just a bunch of annoying proprietary stuff. That is a clean fan. That almost looks brand new. That is incredibly clean. All right, and I'm certain that some of you in the comments are going to say that maybe the eBay seller was selling these as 4 parts are not working because they didn't want to have to accept returns on them, as that's a pretty common trick. But in this case, both of these items had free returns on them. Seller was taking free returns on both of these computers, so I am kind of lost as to why they would sell perfectly functional systems at such a low price, saying they're broken when they aren't, and not just to avoid the returns. Relatively, oh yeah, very much liquid thermal paste on that. It's very liquidy, completely fresh. It's a bit of a weird color. It's like a brownish gray, but that is fresh thermal paste, which is good. I have a feeling that this computer's probably been refurbished. Actually, it has. This is the one that has been refurbished. Okay. Forgot about that. Yeah, up here we focus. There we go. Refurbished in Canada. That says Microsoft certified refurbisher. So that is quite interesting to me. About to say, where are all the front panel headers on this? And then I remembered this is one of those boards that the motherboard just has the front I/O on it. It's actually really nice and simple for building the computer and I guess working on it until you need to replace a port on the front I/O, and then it becomes hatefully annoying. That's power disconnected. The only thing left is, oh, and that just came straight off. All right, so that's everything disconnected. I'm probably going to remove this power supply just so I have a little more wiggle room. And I will be opening this power supply up to check what condition it's in and to clean it out a little better than you can by just blowing air through it. That is one thing that I've started doing. I generally don't mention it until now. Not much dust at all in there or on the fan. There's a good chance that this has been cleaned out before. Maybe not. Those screw heads look new. In any case, I haven't been inside one of these. This is a 180 watt, 80 plus bronze. There's that label if anyone's interested. And now I should be free to work on the motherboard. The motherboard should be free now. Nearly. Yeah, okay. Interesting. So since the motherboard's got front I/O on it, these guys, I believe, kind of get caught in this piece of metal here. This is like the front I/O shield. You unscrew that screw, pop that off, and now that's coming up with ease. Okay, that's an interesting little observation. Okay, so that's how it goes. I don't know why I didn't try twisting it before, but you can see these two kind of wings on the side. They go left to right. These two on the bottom They go up and down, so it makes a cross pattern and keeps this guy in. But you can just twist it, or should be able to just twist it, and it'll pop straight out just like that. Very interesting. Okay. Well, now we know that. And I'll put that in the 2242 slot. I'm gonna clean off that thermal paste. I'll put my own MX4 on that, and I'll go ahead and reassemble this. I'll check this battery too. 2.87, yep, that's good. Awesome. Okay, yep, so we've got a good CMOS battery. That's great. That will have also done a CMOS reset right there. I'll get the thermal paste. We will deal with the power supply, and we'll put everything back together, because that's really all there is to do here, sadly. This is a bit of a failure. I was hoping to get an actually broken system to fix with you guys, but I guess this is all we're getting instead. So, I'm gonna grab our board, set that guy in, sat down beautifully, and I'll put all the screws back. Put our front IO shield-like thing on. I'm gonna set this off to the side, and let's take a look at the power supply. Mainly out of curiosity, because this one doesn't seem that dirty, but we may clean it a bit. If it's pretty much perfectly clean, though, I won't take it outside and blow it out, because there's no point. All right, so don't open power supplies if you don't know what you're doing. I do, so I open power supplies. Out and up, there we go. Pretty barren. Not too surprising for a 180 watt power supply. That's the big cap right there that you want to be careful of. And overall, it's really nothing that special. Looks like these two right here are our main switching transistors. I think we've got a rectifier on the output there. They generally have dual diode rectifiers. I wonder what model it is. I can maybe tell what it is by the model. Don't recognize the model, but it has the dual diode rectifier symbol on it. The two diodes facing into each other. So that is what that is. The big cap is an elite cap. That's nice-ish. Overall, nothing too spectacular, nothing too weird, nothing too crazy. Just a pretty bog standard power supply. So that power supply is good now. We bring the main case and motherboard assembly back. I'm gonna go ahead and chuck the power supply in before I do anything else. Nope, don't click in quite yet. There we go. You gotta make sure that you slide both the clips on the bottom on, otherwise it doesn't sit well. And sometimes your side panel doesn't close. I know on the OptiPlex 7020 SFF, those won't close if you don't put the power supply in correctly. To put it in correctly, you see these guys? There are little guys in the bottom of the case that go into those. You have to start with the power supply a little bit more towards the front of the case. So you can see it's back from here, and then you have to slide it onto those clips, and then they engage. Otherwise, it won't go on properly, and I actually don't think it went on properly that time. Doesn't feel like it. Let's try that again. Now it's sitting down, yeah, because this side, if you don't make the clip in, the clip will stick under the regular side of the power supply. So this side will be raised, and that can interfere with things, but sometimes it can interfere with the side panel closing. I'm not sure if it does on this model. I'm not gonna test it right now, but there's a little tip of the day. Cables are in, and now I'm going to put thermal paste and cooler back on. I always like to go a little over with thermal paste. So with that done, I'm gonna take this M.2 SSD. I'm gonna put this in here, which should be very easy with this little thingy. That thing. Very easy. That is pretty much all that done. Since the fan doesn't need cleaning, we're just gonna put the fan back on. So that fan's in, that fan's been hooked up. Not gonna make that mistake this time. I think I'm going to add one more thing to this system. I have another one of these 1 terabyte hard drives. Same one that I put in the Precision 3420. And I have forgotten to put the DVD drive back in. So let's do that. Just gonna slide that in like that. Clicks in pretty nice. That'll do it, almost. Almost. That is all I've got to show you. The original plan failed, and we got something out of it. Hopefully it's all right. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, maybe learned a thing or two, maybe benefited from one of the little tips I tried to throw in there. In any case, I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.